I recently faced something no family should endure. My veteran grandfather was sitting on his porch, minding his own business, when 4 fake cops surrounded him like he was a criminal. Why? A flagpole. My neighbor, with her smug grin, filmed it like she'd caught a mastermind. But that video was the first step to her downfall. Wars don't always start with fights. Sometimes they begin with a mailbox, a sticker, and a woman named Susan who probably says, as per my email in everyday chats. Susan was the type to print emails for her files, carry a clipboard she bought herself, and act like her neighborhood watch role made her a judge. She wasn't elected HOA president. She just declared it, made her own badge, and no one stopped her. That is, until she targeted my grandpa. Grandpa, Henry, isn't loud. He doesn't brag about his military days or put up "veteran lives here" signs. He doesn't need to. He moves with quiet strength, watches like he's gathering intel, and brews coffee like it's a battle plan. Since moving in with me in Pine Ridge, he's been calm, steady, the kind of calm that feels safe. To Susan, that made him a threat. It started with a note taped to our door with bright yellow tape that screamed, "I'm professional but love drama. Notice of violation. Mailbox is non-standard. Remove decorative elements within 72 hours or face fines." The decorative element. A 2-inch eagle sticker. Not glowing, not rude, just an eagle. Grandpa read it, squinted, and peeled it off to prop up a wobbly table leg. "Another clipboard bully," he muttered. I laughed. I shouldn't have. 3 days later, a second notice arrived, laminated, angrier font. "Flagpole exceeds regulation height. Remove immediately or face penalties." The flagpole, a 10-foot American flag Grandpa's had since I was a kid, was now a crime. I handed it to him. He touched the pole, tossed the notice in the trash, and said, "I'm not lowering my flag for her." I was proud and mad. Then Susan's patrols began. Every morning at 9:14 a.m., she'd pass by, visor, squeaky sneakers, clipboard, muttering like she was narrating a wildlife show. Flagpole still up. Mailbox non-compliant. I caught her once, inches from our mailbox, whispering into her phone, visual confirmation. Subject violates code 5.3b, taking photos. She wasn't enforcing rules. She was waging a one-woman war. Should I say something? I asked Grandpa. "Nope," he said, flipping his newspaper. "Let her watch." Not worried. He shrugged. She's not the first to think a clipboard gives her power. I thought it was a quip. It was a warning. The next move wasn't paper. It was boots. A sharp knock hit our door, not neighborly, but tense. I opened it to 2 men in black polos, cargo pants, and boots, radios on their belts. One wore sunglasses despite the clouds. "We're with Pine Ridge Community Enforcement," the tall one said, badge smudged, dangling from a cheap lanyard. "Is that real?" I asked. "Your property is non-compliant. We're authorized to deliver a removal notice." "You're evicting my grandfather?" "He has 48 hours to vacate, or it escalates." "To what?" "Community security measures." Grandpa stepped out, hoodie on, coffee in hand, calm as ever. "Which one of you wants to try?" The shorter guy shifted. "This is a compliance action, sir." "Ever serve?" Grandpa asked. They froze. Worn a uniform that meant something? Silence. My fists clenched, heart racing. These weren't cops, but what if Grandpa pushed? "Unless you've got a court order or real badge, you're trespassing," I said. Grandpa added, 10 seconds to leave before your clipboard can't save you." Their tough act cracked. They backed off, climbed into a dented SUV with peeling stickers, and sped away. Grandpa sipped his coffee like it was nothing. "Susan's desperate. Will she try again?" "I know she will." "What do we do?" He handed me an old brass key, heavy, worn. "Upstairs closet, top shelf." "What is it?" "Something I hoped I'd never need." When I opened that trunk, I didn't just find medals. I found a hidden past, the kind with classified files and connections Susan never saw coming. The key felt heavy, like it carried years of secrets. Grandpa's closet, off limits even for storage, held a single trunk behind a folded flag and an old army blanket. I dragged a chair, climbed up, and pulled it down, nearly dropping its weight. In the kitchen, I set it down like it might explode. "What is this?" I muttered. "A time capsule? A spy kit?" The lock clicked open. Inside wasn't memories. It was a war chest. A leather folder, stamped, restricted, Federal Classification, Strategic Response Ops, held yellow documents, redacted pages, and satellite images labeled Tier 2 Strategic Command. One photo showed Grandpa, mid-40s, in unmarked fatigues, crouched with a blurred team in a desert. Caption: Field Command Morgan, Night Recon 0582. Who are you? I whispered. Beneath was a steel case with a fingerprint scanner. I carried it to Grandpa. Found the box. Still heavy, like secrets in trouble. He pressed his thumb. It clicked open. Inside, a pristine pistol, a USB drive marked for ops only, and a letter sealed with a Pentagon wax emblem. Are you in a spy movie? Not anymore. This is insurance. Against what? People like Susan. Grandpa didn't tell stories whole. He gave pieces. He wasn't just a soldier. He led blackout missions in places off the map, making choices you couldn't undo. He was on VNAPS, Veteran National Asset Priority Status. They listed me, he said. Not because I'm dangerous, but if I vanish, people notice. Like witness protection? More like, don't mess with the bear. And the HOA poked the bear. He smiled. Over and over. What now? Nothing. Unless they do something dumber. Dumber than evicting a protected vet. Dumber. I eyed the sealed letter, itching to open it. Should we tell someone? Cops. The board. He leaned in, serious. And say I've got secrets so classified I can't admit they exist? Showing a sword scares people. Showing an arsenal starts a war. I wanted to fight loud. He wanted to wait, strike precise. You've done this before, I said. More than I'd like. If she doesn't stop? He stood. We called backup. Backup came fast. The next day, a hand-delivered envelope arrived. No stamp, sealed with Pine Ridge Emergency Action, final notice. Inside, 5 pages of nonsense. Susan declared Grandpa's property a security threat for noncompliance, intimidating behavior, and military equipment visible. His equipment, a flagpole and birdwatching binoculars. Signed by Susan and Michael Reed, fake cop leader. This is insane, I said. No, Grandpa said, it's actionable. 4th violation with forged authority pings the system. He pulled out an old flip phone, dialed Charlie, codename Bulldog. Who's Bulldog? Guy who owes me a favor. What kind? The kind you don't write down. Charlie answered. How many and how armed? Susan thought she was enforcing rules. She'd just challenged a man who wrote them, with a team that never disbanded. Susan was a dictator in sneakers. After failing to scare Grandpa, she declared herself HOA president. No vote, just an email. Effective immediately, I assume authority under Emergency Clause 3A. Her office was her patio. Her emergency was Grandpa's flag and a garden statue she called offensive. I laughed. Grandpa didn't. She's scared of losing, he said. By morning, creepy signs appeared. Safety begins with obedience. Report anomalies. Stamped, HOA Safety Council. Zip-tied to mailboxes, including ours. I tore them down. They reappeared. I smashed one with a bat. Got a text from an unknown number. Destroying safety infrastructure will result in fines. Final warning. Grandpa glanced at it. She's not a nuisance. She's a tyrant who doesn't know when to stop. Patrol started. 3 guys in black polos, tactical pants, empty clipboards, walking at dusk, staring at houses. One wore sunglasses at 8 p.m. I confronted one. Enforcement. For the board. You mean Susan? No answer. I've got cameras too. He didn't reply. Another night, I caught one photographing Grandpa's truck, flash on. He fled to a plateless SUV. Grandpa stood behind me. They're rattling us. It won't work. Sure, I'm ready to end this HOA. That's what they want. Overreact, they call it aggression, then escalate. Susan escalated with a community realignment initiative. 12 rules slid under doors. No unapproved flags. No outdoor furniture, cataloged pets, unannounced security sweeps. Noncompliance was active disruption. Neighbors whispered. Mrs. Carter said Susan threatened her insurance over window shades. Another left a screenshot of Susan's compliance eyes chat, assigning zones to spy. Our house was Hot Zone 1. Grandpa showed me the HOA charter. Emergency authority needed 3 board votes. The others quit. Susan was alone, her rules fake. What are we waiting for? For her to feel unstoppable. That's when she slips. Then 2 black pickups arrived, tinted windows, quiet engines. Out stepped Charlie, Sam, and Lila. No greetings, just a nod to Grandpa. Back in uniform? Charlie asked. Just the mindset, Grandpa said. Quiet or loud? Quiet, but keep loud ready. Sam scanned with binoculars. Lila set up cameras. Susan watched from her window, thinking she was in control. Another envelope arrived, handwritten cease and desist, accusing me of inciting disruption and aiding a non-compliant resident. Signed, Susan Parker, President, HOA Director, Acting Municipal Liaison. She's a one-woman government, I said. Her biggest mistake, Grandpa said, attacking someone who doesn't play defense. That night, Susan marched over with 2 fake cops, flashlights blazing. You're harboring unauthorized residents. Rules you invented, I said. Grandpa stepped out. Ms. Parker, you're trespassing. This is a compliance check. It's a bluff, and it's done. She puffed up. We'll see. Sooner than you think, Grandpa said. She glanced at Charlie in the shadows, his stare saying, Try me. She left fast. The next morning felt too quiet, like the air was holding its breath. Grandpa sat on the porch, eyes on the road. It's today, he said. At 9:43 a.m., 3 black SUVs rolled in. No plates, dark windows, moving like a pack. 4 men stepped out, polos, cargo pants, zip cuffs, one with a compliance ops patch. Susan filmed from her driveway, cardigan like armor, smiling like she'd won. I stepped in front of Grandpa, heart pounding. The leader, built like a tank, said, We're here for Henry Morgan under Section 14B of the Pine Ridge Mandate. He's to be detained, arrested, escorted for safety review. Got a court order? We don't use municipal codes. So no. He reached for cuffs. Grandpa stood, coffee in hand. Ever serve? Military? Police? Anything real? The leader blinked. We're trained professionals. That's a no. Charlie emerged. You're trespassing, impersonating, and underestimating who you're facing. The men tensed, radios clicking. Sam and Lila appeared, filming, body cams, phone, all angles. Susan shouted, They're violating HOA law. Charlie turned. Ma'am, go inside. This is my authority. His voice sharpened. Ma'am. The leader tried. This removal was sanctioned by the board. There is no board, I said. Susan signed it, she lied. Grandpa spoke, calm. This property is federally protected under Title 38. Touch me, and you trigger a response your clipboard can't stop. A shorter guy's hand twitched toward his belt. Lila was there. I wouldn't. Your weapon's unregistered. Your authority fake. Sam added. This live stream's at 2,000 views with backups. Want this to be your Tuesday? The leader backed off. We were misinformed. Now you're informed, Grandpa said. Leave. Susan stormed onto our lawn, phone out. Cowards. Detain him. You're failing Pine Ridge. Susan, I said, this is your street, not your law. She screamed, You don't belong here. Grandpa didn't move. Charlie warned, Ma'am, final warning. You're criminals. He's fake. Grandpa stepped forward. You're right, not military. Retired. Neighbors, watching from porches, clapped. Someone yelled, We told you, Susan. A real police cruiser pulled up, lights off. 2 officers stepped out. Grandpa nodded. They tried to enforce a fake warrant on a protected vet with fake IDs. IDs now, an officer said. The fake cops hesitated. Charlie stayed ready. 10 minutes later, they were cuffed on the curb. Susan tried to leave. Ma'am, you're coming too. I did nothing. You signed an unlawful order, fraud. She shouted, I'm the president, as they drove off. Grandpa sat on the porch like it was just coffee time. Expected, I asked. People like her always go too far. His phone showed a text from Ghostfire. Paper trail confirmed. Shell accounts tied to HOA fines. Initiating trace. Susan wasn't just power-hungry. She was profiting off fear. But the money trail led to more than fines. It led to a network. Susan thought cuffs were her low point. She was wrong. Hours after her arrest, Ghostfire, Grandpa's contact in some shadowy agency, texted, Found something. Brightview LLC, registered in Delaware, receives HOA compliance fund deposits. Beneficiary, Susan Parker. Silent partners, David Holt, Clara Evans. Grandpa showed me. Her clipboard paid well. We turned the garage into a command center, laptops, burners, a whiteboard of red lines, a folder of transactions. Charlie pulled business licenses. Lila grabbed surveillance. I scanned fines. $50 here, $200 there, $3,000 from Mrs. Ellis. A widow scared her curtains weren't uniform. I couldn't risk another fine, she told me. I nearly punched a wall. This isn't fraud, it's extortion, I said. Exactly, Grandpa said. She targeted the vulnerable. Charlie said, the funds are traceable. She used one merchant code for all deposits. No separation between HOA and personal. Her partners will surface when she talks. She did. Within 48 hours, our files reached the Inspector General's office. A man with no online trace, gravelly voice, and serious credentials met us in a library. Your report confirms systemic abuse. Charges are in progress. Grandpa slid a flash drive. Start here. 2 days later, Susan's accounts froze. Brightview LLC was audited. Holt and Evans were subpoenaed. Susan appeared on our porch at 1:12 a.m., hoodie on, holding a folder, looking hunted. I need to talk to him. You're violating your release, I said. Grandpa appeared. She thrust the folder forward. They used me. You volunteered, he said. They said it was legal. Then why launder it? She cried. Is it too late to fix? Too late to pretend you didn't know. The folder, emails, ledgers, wire transfers, some 3 years old, was another nail in her coffin. We handed it over. What if we hadn't fought? If Grandpa didn't have connections? If we didn't record? Susan thrived on silence. Closure came quietly. 6 weeks later, a letter arrived. The Pine Ridge Homeowners Association is dissolved due to federal housing law violations, misuse of funds, and impersonation. No HOA, no appeal. At the rec center, neighbors clapped as Susan's rules were erased. A county rep said, "We honor Henry Morgan for his service then and now, protecting Pine Ridge." Grandpa nodded, nothing more. That weekend, we raised a new flagpole, donated by a local shop, with a plaque, Henry Morgan, veteran, neighbor, protector. No ceremony, just neighbors watching the flag rise, feeling right. Susan vanished, sold her house, maybe changed her name. Holt and Evans faced fraud and racketeering charges. Susan took a plea. Community service, 5 years probation, banned from HOAs. Poetic, she wrote rules, now she can't touch them. Refunds came, neighbors threw a block party, blinds opened, people waved. A bench at the park bears Grandpa's name. He sits there daily, grumbling he didn't approve it. I learned fast how people surrender rights to a badge and paperwork, how fear grows behind fences. Most of all, I learned, don't bet against a quiet man with a folder. Susan thought Henry was a stubborn vet. She didn't know she'd challenged a legend. Her kingdom, fines, fear, fake laws, burned down. His flag flies higher now, and Susan? She's probably arguing with a mailbox somewhere.